Being human. Do you ever wonder what makes us who we are? Our habits, preferences, or where we came from? We are expressing ourselves in thousands of ways every day through our choices. Let's have a conversation with people who are having interesting lives. My name is Alun Walker. I'm a doctor of chiropractic and a human being. So I'd like to welcome a great friend of mine, someone who's been building a business. We're going to find out exactly how many years now, but over in Lincolnshire, a few people will probably guess who we're speaking to today. Someone who's building a business not just for helping clients get out of problems with the nervous system, but also someone who is building a great business training chiropractors throughout the country. And I'm sure possibly in Europe, but we'll find out about that in a little while. But look, I'd like to don't waste any more time, but welcome Dr. Tom Waller onto the podcast. Welcome onto the podcast, Tom.
Alan, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you. I'm admiring your studio, which is making mine look pathetic right now. But it's such a pleasure to be with you and share with you today. Thank you.
No, brilliant. If it's all right with you, Tom, I've got loads of questions for you, but one of the first ones, if you don't mind, I don't know anything about you personally. I mean, for me, I was just a poor boy brought up in Birkenhead, and one day I decided I've been receiving chiropractic treatment for since I was 20 years old, and there suddenly came a time in my life I just went, do you know what? I'm ready for a change, and I wanted to become a chiropractor. Wasn't sure whether I'd be able to ever bridge that gap between my education and becoming a part of this great profession. But for yourself, Tom, where was your early beginnings? Where were you brought up?
Great question. So my mum's family from Birkenhead. How interesting is that?
It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
But then they moved to Bristol. So my hometown is Bristol. That's where I grew up, born and bred. I live in Lincoln now. Obviously, I moved here years ago for my first job. I met my wife here, and we've stayed here because we saw a county that was lacking what we thought it needed in terms of a healthcare revolution, and that's what we've brought to the county. And I've fallen in love with the place. It's not quite as hilly as where I'm from, but it's a great place to be. And my journey started really as I was going through school. I had my career set and my eyes set on a career in the military. I chased that, I pursued that, and at the same time, my mum actually said, why don't you think about becoming a chiropractor, who I'd seen when I was young for headaches, who would also help me get over my asthma. And I thought, well, why not? I'll give that a go. And I ended up taking the path of chiropractic. I've never looked back since. It's been a journey. I certainly didn't start it as I've now come to live and breathe it. But I fell into the profession, I suppose. A little different to how some people, get these light bulb moments. I kind of fell into it, and then I got my light bulb moment when I was in it, which has brought me to where I am today.
Brilliant. Have you got any siblings?
I do. I have a sister who's an A&E nurse, so like the opposite end of the spectrum to what I do, and I have a brother who gallivants around the world. So I'm the middle child, so that's why I suppose I'm a little bit rebellious and don't like to take authority too well.
Well, I think it's the rebellious spirit that makes a good chiropractor, because, I mean, right, as we know, the history of chiropractic's been rebels since it started, and rightfully so as well. There's a few things need to change in the world, and we're battling on with that
I would 100% agree.
Every day of the week. So, what would be your earliest memory? Earliest memory?
Wow. What a question. I did not see that one coming. What a question. I was thinking this when I was playing with my daughter the other day, and she's just learning to stand up. So she's holding my fingers and pulling herself upright. It's fantastic to watch. And I remember sitting on my dad's lap and holding his thumbs, and I thought his thumbs were huge, my little hands around them. And my dad used to be in the Air Force, and he'd pretend to be a plane, a fighter plane. And I'm just sitting on his lap, and he's vibrating his thumbs, going. So I suppose that's one of my earliest, most fondest memories. And thank you for asking that question. You've really made my day.
To go back in time, it's an amazing thing, and these little happy memories that we can bring on sometimes makes a darker day a lot brighter, doesn't it? But I do know what you're talking about. I've got my first grandson. He's now my first grandchild. He's now 7 months old. We're going Centre Parks next week. They've invited me to Centre Parks with them, so I'm going to go across and spend a lot more time with him. I normally see him once or twice a week, but onto a baby. It's been my youngest daughter. I've got two daughters. One is 24. She's just had the child, and the other one is she's 17, so she'll be wanting a car soon or help with that. So I don't know if that's going to be a good memory for me, but it's on its way. She'll be love listening to this. She actually listens to some of these podcasts. What sort of jobs did you do, Tom, before you became a chiropractor?
Say again, sorry?
What sort of jobs did you do before you became a chiropractor?
Oh, I've done loads. I have an insatiable work ethic, and I think that comes from some of the work that I've done. I've always had a job, I suppose, as far as I can remember. Right back from a paper round. Then I worked in the co-op. I was a labourer for most of my studies, paying my way as a labourer. Worked in an off licence, worked at a school for kids learning English. And then I was a Royal Marine Reservist. So that's, I think that's my potted history of work. But I've always enjoyed work. I've always enjoyed the fruits of my own labour. Which I suppose, pays into how I live my life these days.
Brilliant. No, that's awesome. I've done a few jobs like that myself. I once even dug the roads and fixed gas pipes. So I've done a few jobs which
I have a lot of patients who do that. That's physical work. That is physical work.
It is, and I'm thankful for it, because it was one of those jobs that did enough damage that made me go to the chiropractors a little bit more than I had done in the past. And from that, I just one day I just decided, you know what, I was running my own business, dealing with property restoration, so dealing with historic buildings for English Heritage National Trust. And we with the business we did travel. We did even travel throughout Europe. I even worked in Barbados for a little bit running my business. But the change happened for me in 2010. When I went to see my mother, and from that I made a decision after the travelling out to America, where she lives in St. Louis. I thought to myself, waking up in the morning, a little bit of a long flight, and I don't know, door to door is probably about 13 hours, and I stayed up with them during their day, and then went to bed with them. So I'd been awake for probably well over 20 odd hours, and I was tired, and I woke up in the morning and they were a little bit grumpy. My mother said, why don't you come and see our local chiropractor? I thought, well, I have chiropractic. I'll be interested to see their chiropractor, Dr. Ray, in St. Louis. And we spent a bit of time driving across, so I felt every bump in the road. I think a lot of us are familiar with that sort of feeling. And he helped me no end. And at the end of that one session, when we came back, that was my light bulb moment of what I was going to do. I was going to change the way that I was making money. I wanted to offer this gift to people, and this was how I was going to. This was what I wanted to do. And so I enrolled into, at the time it was the one I could actually do was McTimoney Chiropractic in Abingdon. I believe you went to Wales, didn't you?
No, I went to ACC.
Oh, did you?
But my wife and all my associates, bar one associate, have been McTimoney grads. But my wife's similar. She was a police officer, and when we met, and she joined that force thinking she's going to help people, but came to a stark realization she's not helping anybody, and was extremely upset with her life. And she just decided, like, that's it. I've had enough, and I'm changing. And similar to you. And
yeah, what was your light bulb moment?
My light bulb moment was, it spanned over a period of time, but I was in practice and I was doing these long visits, working for a chiropractor who very much towed the party line of pain base. But I was seeing these miracles happen, and I couldn't explain the miracle with the knowledge and understanding I had of chiropractic at the time. And that sent me on a rabbit hole of investigation. I ended up YouTubing Billy DeMoss's original DCS Clubhouse, which are these really old YouTube videos he used to do back in the day. And I used to watch those. And I think that just made me think, actually, there's more to this than I'm seeing at the moment. And then that just set me off down this rabbit hole of finding out chiropractic. I then moved employment, and I ended up seeing this guy called Malcolm. And Malcolm was 63 when he came to see me, and his wife had been under care for her back. But she said, "Can you help my husband who's got lung failure and heart failure?" And I said, "Well, we'll give it a go." And he comes in for his first appointment, he gets his first adjustment, and he takes a full breath of air. And the next time he comes in, he's bent over double again with his oxygen tank on. Next adjustment, another full breath of air. And we do this dance back and forth for several weeks, and he's starting to improve his lung function, his heart function, just with these adjustments. And I can't explain it. He ends up taking a course of antibiotics, going into hospital, and I was the person who'd go to hospital and adjust him. The only two people who went to the hospital were his wife and me. And when I adjusted him in the hospital and saw the monitors show an improvement in that moment, you know, I was sold on chiropractic there and then. And ever since that moment, you know, I've known that chiropractic enhances the quality of somebody's life. Doesn't save lives, but it enhances the quality of people's life. And that's what I believe everybody has the potential for and should have the opportunity for as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working with somebody in hospital at the moment at the George Eliot. He's actually a chiropractor who had an accident in his kitchen and broke his neck. And Gus, some people might know him as Gus, but it's John Gibbon. And so he's paraplegic in the George Eliot. And I'm going up there just to, obviously very carefully, offering some decompression, because that's about all you can do with him. But what a difference it makes. And you know, you can clearly see that from no movement in his upper cervicals, there's suddenly that reduced compression and a lot more movement, and the lift in his, you can see it in his eyes, and obviously you can appreciate it's done very carefully.
But this is brilliant. And you talked at the start about the sort of rebellious attitude chiropractors used to have, that level of certainty where someone was like that, they'd be, okay, I'm going to adjust you. I remember my brother stroked. He had his first stroke when he was 23. Now, my brother's not an unhealthy guy. He's a guy who puts himself in extremely stressful environments around the world. And he had a stroke. And I remember as soon as he was flown back to the UK, I went to his ward and I adjusted him in the stroke ward. And like, you know, the institutions of chiropractic will tell you, you do not do that. But I'm saying to myself, okay, well, if he's had a stroke because of a convolution in an artery in his neck, if his neck is subluxated, is that going to create more or less tension on that artery? More. So he's going to live better and heal better subluxation free. And he did, and he does, and he lives a great life now. So I love the fact you're doing that for Gus. And I love your certainty and your passion. I'm grateful for someone like you in the profession doing that.
Yeah, it's the understanding. I mean, do I think, do chiropractors believe that we can help people like Gus by adjusting him and he's not going to be a paraplegic anymore? Absolutely not. But it's not just like you say, it's what we're actually offering for his nervous system, just to offer some relief and give him you know, that little bit of extra movement in his neck. He's so thankful for that. He is
Well, you look
so
at take
thankful.
Christopher Reeve as an example. Christopher Reeve, who Superman, horse riding accident, paraplegic, quadriplegic. And do you know what he died from?
No.
He died from pneumonia.
Yeah.
So he died from the fact that his spinal cord injury compromised his immune system. So what if he had been adjusted, not to make him walk again, but to allow his nervous system, as you're quite rightly saying, to function, and therefore potentially his health improve long term?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So I guess I'm guessing here. I'd like to know why you're doing it. You're putting massive amounts of passion, enthusiasm, and energy into training not just new graduates, but chiropractors who's been around the business for a very long time. And I've been on your courses, and they're excellent. They're brilliant. And when you leave, you're left with this brand new energy to go out there and can't wait to get back in the clinic on the Monday. But where are you getting the passion? Where are you getting the energy from to do this work?
I've always fought for the little guy. I think is my driver. I think when I was young, I was unheard. I struggled, and I had to voice up. and I suppose I'm a supporter of those who need a stronger voice. So, you know, my teaching thing is adjusting skills and certainty, and I think adjusting certainty in a chiropractor is really important, to give confidence and give strength. Um, and I see it as a necessity for the future of humanity to have leaders in healthcare uh, really standing up for what we believe in. It gives me huge drive to see other chiropractors thrive. And I coach chiropractors all around the world, and it's so nice just to see them really become certain, increase their skill, and then the ripple effect of that is what I love to see.
So you picked the name ASC, so it's adjusting skills and certainty.
Yeah.
What made you pick those? I mean, I get it, but what made you pick those particular words for what we do?
Because I had a look at the profession. I thought, where are we lacking? You know, there's a lot of stuff out there on how to get new patients, how to market, how to bring people into your practice, all of which I teach. But you know, it's like you know when you go to the car and you go and buy a new car, and you have this interaction with the car salesman, and they sell you on this amazing car. It's going to change your life. You love it. You fall in love with it, and you say, "I want this. I'm going to buy it." And you've had a fantastic experience with the car salesman. It then comes to the car's first service, and you meet the service team, and you have a very poor experience. It leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, and it really wasn't up to the standard of what you had when you first bought the car. I think this is what happens in chiropractic. We have this amazing stuff put out there to bring people into the practice, but then it falls away. It's like the man who built his house on the sand versus the man who built his house on the rock. And where I see the need and desire from chiropractors is to increase their skill, and I think we all get that. But I think what chiropractors really want from that is an increase in their certainty, to be strong and convicted in their beliefs, as well as convicted in their confidence to take someone through a care plan to get the result that they're looking for. So when I had a look at the profession and thought, what does it really need? It needs more skilled chiropractors and more certain chiropractors. And I think if we get those two things, we'll have a true impact in the world.
So with these students that you have, say students, some people are older boys like me. What are you hoping that they're going to change in their mind? Are you changing their mindset towards what they're doing as a profession within the chiropractic work? Are you trying to help them change their view of psyche shift? And if that's the case, what type of psyche shift are you looking for when they turn up? They've never seen you before. They turn up on a course, and what are you trying to help them to become, perhaps over, maybe several years?
Cool. So I suppose two different things. If I'm working with a one-on-one client or people in the group, the first thing we work on with them is their values, and really to understand themselves and be sure of who they are first, because I think that's the most important foundation that we have. You can then build upon that foundation your certainty in chiropractic. So the first thing we'll do is work on figuring out their values, their gifts, what they can really bring to the world, what they want, not what they've been told they should have or what they believe they should have. So some real core deep work that we do with people at the start. When you come to one of my courses, it's slightly different. So I haven't got the time to do those deep value questions. So we start with the philosophy of chiropractic and really understanding what is it that we do. And people get this hang up on philosophy, saying, "Oh, there's no place for philosophy in chiropractic." That's a complete misunderstanding of what the term philosophy is, because philosophy is simply the search of wisdom, and it's asking the right questions. So when you come to a patient and you're asking yourself, where am I going to adjust them? That's a philosophical approach. So you need to have that understanding first. So we build a true understanding. And what I think I'm very good at is taking all of these green books and this philosophy of chiropractic, and I'm putting it into something very compact and getting people to go, that's what it is. That makes sense. Now I'm confident to work with that. And then we layer up the skill that's needed beyond that to get them to become certain in their business, certain in their adjusting, and certain in their practice.
So how do you feel at the moment? If you don't mind me asking, this is quite a sort of a sensitive question. We have 4 universities now within the British Isles, and within the universities, there's a slight difference in philosophies, would you say?
Yeah.
Where do you think we're going with chiropractic in the future? I know where would you hope? I think that's the thing. Where would you hope we're going to go as far as the universities and the philosophy that they're actually, I guess, you use the word imposing on us. Some of them are going to be far more vitalistic, and some of them not so much. And some of them are actually changing their ways and becoming, if you like, more of a profession of physios, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, each university has its merits and downfalls. Um, you know, I have a patient in every single year and CAs in every single year of McTimoney at the moment, who will be graduating through and coming into the business. That university has merit in terms of allowing the students to find chiropractic. Do they teach exactly what I think they should? No. Should they teach everything? No. Because when we think about what university is tertiary level education. Tertiary level education is self-directed learning. It's not indoctrination. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. That's secondary education, which is schooling. And that's unfortunately what the other universities are still doing. They're doing 1 + 1 = 2, which is not university education. I suppose this is a whole change in the culture of the whole world, but we see that in chiropractic. I would say some of those universities, quite frankly, are not fit for purpose in terms of graduating chiropractors. Just about still, you can think of it as you've learned to pass your test, like your daughter's about to think about passing her test to drive, then she's going to learn how to drive properly. You get your graduation degree in chiropractic, you've got your degree, and now you learn how to become a chiropractor. And I think that's what it is. But there are some universities that are changing to the point where actually they probably wouldn't even pass the driving test. So that's incumbent upon us to vote with our dollars, as they say, vote with our pounds. Send people to the schools that are going to train chiropractors and starve the schools that are not.
Yeah. So I wonder whether I can get a little bit of gold from you, a little bit of treasure. I happened to find I think it was an old YouTube recording that you made where you're explaining about the talks that you recommend and advise people to do in their clinics when they're bringing in new clients. So doing health talks. How important do you think health talks are for the building of your business? And if it is important, which I believe you're going to say yes, what sort of things should be covered, and how often did you do them? How often do you do them now?
Huge topic. Now, I think they're essential. Caveat, I said a minute ago, the first thing I work on people with is their values and their gifts. My gift is speaking. Your gift lies behind your greatest fear. I used to be, I was labeled very dyslexic. I still am very uncomfortable in social situations. And it's something that I had to build the confidence in to make great. So the reason I say that is some people's gift is not speaking. Some people's gift might be in the written arts. Some people's gift might be in the one-on-one. But I think everyone should try and give it a go to bring talks into growing their practice. Why? Because talks bring out a lot of emotion. It's not necessarily the content of your talk, it's the context of your talk. It's how you motivate, it's how you build this community together to grow behind something. So if we think about what makes a really successful business startup, is 3 things. It's a future-based vision, it's a new idea, and a charismatic leader. Those 3 things are crucial to build a new business. So a future-based vision would be saying, we've come to Lincoln to make Lincolnshire the healthiest county in the country. It's currently one of the worst. We want to take it to be one of the best. That gets a whole community to go, wow, that's a vision I want to be part of in the future. You then think of a new idea. The beautiful thing is chiropractic is actually a new idea if you have true chiropractic. It's not like another form of physiotherapy. It's not like another drug. It's a completely new concept whereby your body has the ability to heal itself. So long as its nervous system is working freely, we remove those subluxation. That new idea, something that people can get behind and understand. And then you need the charismatic leader to take those things to the public. Now, by virtue of being a chiropractor, you are a charismatic leader because you are quite weird and odd in the eyes of the public. So you can lean into that. It's just how we are. So that said, being able to orate, being able to speak and do talks is essential to bring those components together to get out to your community. So when we set up our practice, we were very successful in a very short period of time. I mean, within a few months, we were one of the busiest practices in the UK from doing talks. And I did an orientation, and I called it an orientation because no one likes to be told about health and no one likes to attend a talk or a lecture. So we give it a different name, an orientation. And I did them twice a week, every week, for 5 years until COVID made us change and pivot slightly. We now do them every week still, as well as going out into the public and doing other talks and doing other topics of talks in-house.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough as well, not just speaking to people like yourself, Tom, but to speak to another great choreographer, Arno Bernier, and he was speaking. He said very, very similar things to you. He was doing regular talks, and that was one of the things that brought these health talks that brought in clients, got his name out. In the end, he was getting GPs that were turning up to his talks, and so the chiropractic name gets out and the profession gets out in a very good way, and also brings in clients in their droves, don't they? But it is a very difficult thing, and for what it's worth, I want to say, Tom, I've seen you speak twice now, and I think you're probably one of the best speakers that I've seen, and I do mean that from the heart. That's so it is interesting, you saying that the very thing that we're frightened of doing. I do understand what you're saying there. Actually, behind it will be a gift.
100%.
And
I greatly appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, no.
Arno, actually, interestingly, Arno, like he was someone who was another pivotal moment for me. He's a fantastic being, isn't he? His energy is just extraordinary. And I use his line that he was told by a doctor many years ago, and I still use it in my talks, and I hope I'm not going to butcher it now. He says, "There is nothing that I can do about what's wrong with you. What I can do, however, is express everything that is right within you. If you go into a dark room, you can't remove the darkness. You simply have to turn on the light. You can't fight disease. You simply have to promote life." And I that's the most eloquent sentence that I've ever heard, that takes chiropractic and just goes, there it is.
Yeah, it wasn't butchered. It was exactly word for word. I know that very well. It's a wonderful statement. So, what can people expect to when they how would they enroll onto one of your courses, or with the mentoring? How do they enroll onto the mentoring?
Cool. So I've got several programs. I do one-on-one coaching with very few clients. Obviously, it takes a lot of time, but they are clients who are maybe expanding their business or setting up a new business, who are willing to invest. It's not a cheap coaching. So I do one-on-one coaching with a few clients. Then I have a group mentorship, the certain ones, which is so weekly Q&A calls and online coaching for a group of chiropractors. You can find out more about both of those on the website ascchiro.com, ascchiro.com. You can find out more about that. The best way to get hold of me is through Instagram or on probably Instagram, really, Tom Waller UK. I'm going to be running an adjusting crash course. I don't know when's this coming out?
This will be in the next 2 weeks. So
this will be
yeah. So before the end of May, this will be out and being
okay.
promoted.
So I'm going to do 3 UK dates of adjusting crash courses this year. The ticket price it's going to be no higher than 80 quid. It's going to be really cheap because what I want to see change by the end of the year is a level of skill in chiropractors increase, because I think that needs to happen. So I'm going to be running them in my hometown of Lincoln. I'll be down, I believe, either Bristol or Oxford way down south, and then I'll go up north to either Newcastle or Manchester. So I'm going to run them around the country. They're going to be super affordable. So if you're a student or you're a chiropractor who's struggling, you'll still be able to get to it. And they will be on my website too. So look out for those. That's what I'm really going for at the end of this year. And then my speaking gigs this year are all over in the States. So I don't think I've got a talk in Europe this year.
No, it's really awesome. It doesn't surprise me that you're speaking all over the world, Tom. Look, I want to thank you so much for being on this. And what we're going to do, within the bio below, we'll have the information for the courses and also for the website, etc. So they can get in touch with you either for your mentoring or for anything else that you're doing, even just, I guess, you offer some help and support. But I want to thank you so much for coming on, Tom. Really appreciate your time. And I'll be on that course as well, if that's okay.
Please,
and
I'd love you to be there.
yeah, no, without a doubt, I should be on it. Thanks again for being on today. And if any listeners, if you've really enjoyed this, then please like and subscribe. Share it to as many people as you want. People who like chiropractic, support chiropractic. And obviously, if you know other chiropractors that would be interested in hearing people like Tom talking about their skills and what they can do and how they can offer, and also some of their experiences of life, which I actually love to hear, then that please share it. So thanks very much. I really appreciate your Tom. Thank you from the heart. Love you, man. Thank you. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to bring you on again sometime in the future, if that's okay.
I would love to do that. I'd love to appreciate what you're doing. So thank you very much for having me. It's been great. Really enjoyed it.
No, I enjoy it. It gives me an opportunity to speak to people like you. So thank you. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.